thinking about taking the bursary or have already applied and accepted and know that you want to use the bursary as your funding route. So this is an opportunity for anyone to dive off the call or stay on it. Okay, it's also recorded. We've been recording the other sessions. They're all the same, except for the questions, of course, so that we can put a link up onto the HIW webpage. Our comms team are going to help us with that. So give us a little bit of time to get that up there, along with the PowerPoint slides that I'm going to share with you in this session. So they're recorded to enable people who can't make the session, or if you want to refer back to something, then they'll be up on the web page within the next couple of weeks. Okay, I'll make a start then. I'll try and I've got just a few slides just to sort of give us a bit of a focus for today, and I will try and share them. My slideshow icon, there we go. Ali, can you let me know?
Yeah, all fine.
Yeah, people can see those slides. So as I say, it's predominantly about the bursary, and it's your chance to ask us some questions. Okay, the aims of the session are quite simple. They're to introduce ourselves to you and for you to know where you can get information about the bursary. Ali and I are a dedicated team within HIW. I'm the relationship manager, and Ali does all the hard work and the administration and keeps me. Ali, do you want to introduce yourself?
Yeah, that's fine. Obviously, I'm Ali. I work with Bev. I'm the bursary administrator. And obviously, I look after all the admin stuff and the bursary inbox that Bev will mention shortly, but we also monitor that together as well.
Thanks, Ali. And as you can hear, Ali is from Oz, and we're very grateful that she's with us here in Wales. So just to recap on the aims then, it's your opportunity to clarify any queries that you have. And my aim as well is I'm not pro or against the bursary. That's not my remit. My remit is to help and support people who decide to take the bursary and to administer the T's and C's, which I'll talk about. So I feel very strongly that people need to take the bursary with as much information about what it is, what it isn't, and whether it's right for you. So we've been doing these sessions now for 2 years since I came into post. So hopefully that you get the information in a timely fashion so that you can make that decision about how you're going to fund your studies. And then just to give you some links so that you can find out more information. But it's really the start of the engagement. You know, we're here, Ali's here full time, I'm here 3 days a week. And so it's the beginning, if you like, of us meeting you and you meeting us. Okay, the way we've been running the sessions is they're for about an hour. They're answering questions. Use the chat bar if you want to, or put your hand up and we'll ask some questions. Usually people don't remember all the queries and the questions, so there's always afterwards, oh, I wish I'd asked that, or I didn't quite understand that answer. So send in queries and I'll tell you about our dedicated email inbox. So, you know, you've got plenty of opportunities to try and get your queries or your concerns answered. And as I said, the sessions are recorded and they'll be up on the HIW webpage. Okay, so is the bursary the right option for you? As you know, there's a 10-week cooling off period to allow you to really understand and make that choice about your funding option. After the 10 weeks, it is a bit tricky to change your mind, although it's not impossible. The 10 weeks starts at the beginning of your course. And courses start at different times in different universities. So that's an important thing for you to note, that this 10-week period where you can consider, change your mind, opt in, opt out, starts depending on the course that you've signed up to and the university where you're studying. So these are just a few things that I would like people to consider it when they're thinking about, is the bursary the right option for you? Think about your personal circumstances, your commitments. Are you tied particularly to a location? Are you married? Do you have a house? Do you have kids in school? Do you care for your parents? All sorts of things. Do you just not want to move around Wales? Cannot move around Wales? Do you drive? All those sorts of things. So think about your flexibility to work, because the NHS bursary is an all Wales. We would like people to take up employment opportunities in all of the parts of Wales and in our NHS and other providers. So if you are seriously inhibited in being able to move around, then that will influence your opportunity to get jobs. Think about your preference for your job as well. Do you want flexible hours? Do you want part-time? Are you going to be able to move around if it's rotational, or do you need it in one particular place? All these things will influence your ability to get the jobs, and in getting the jobs, comply with the T's and C's. And then another important thing, just in case you're expecting the bursary to find you a job, the bursary is support for you whilst you're studying. It's a financial support. It is not a guarantee of a job. Now, for the most, the jobs will be there and you will find jobs, but not always in the right place. And we do know for some specialties, the last couple of years, there's been more students coming out than the jobs have become available. So it's just for you to be aware that it's not a guarantee that if you take the bursary, that you will automatically get a job in the NHS in Wales. Okay, so other things to consider, and these are just things that we think would be useful. I'm sure there's other things that you need to consider. Will you be able to live on the money? Well, only you can answer that. What's the difference between what you will get on the bursary and other funding streams? Are you happy with that difference? Because they are different. And with the bursary, of course, you get your tuition fees paid in return for us asking you to work in the NHS for 2 years, which is known as the tie-in. So make sure that you understand the differences between the funding streams. Will you have enough finances to fall back on if things change? At the moment, we're not aware that the money that goes to the bursary is going to change. We know that it hasn't kept pace with inflation and with rising costs, but at the moment we don't have any details that they're going to increase the funding elements of the bursary. So it is what it is, and so it's for you to, again, to think about, have you got any other money that you can fall back on to supplement? Will you be working, taking a job or doing bank or something? And if you are going to do that, then, weigh up the fact that you're studying full time, and that might have a negative influence on your training outcomes and your learning outcomes. But we are aware lots of students work and have jobs. Can you leave the bursary if you've decided, crumbs, I've made a mistake and I don't think I should have taken this option. You can, but you have to go through a process with your university, and it's then considered not by me, but colleagues in HIW, and it's considered on a case-by-case basis. And I think you leave at the end of each academic year. You can't leave part way. That's my understanding. So again, this is why it's important for you to weigh all these things up within the 10-month period. But of course, life gets in the way and your circumstances might change beyond your control, or that you didn't envisage when you made the decision now. So there are provisions for you to leave the bursary scheme. Within the terms and conditions, we fully expect people to complete their course successfully, to want to work in Wales and to find jobs in Wales. However, it doesn't always work that way. So the terms and conditions of the bursary do allow for a review and an appeal system, which Ali and I administer. Again, on a case-by-case basis. And there are broadly 3 categories where we think life gets in the way, things change, and you might be able to have your circumstances reviewed. And they are generally that there weren't enough jobs for you when you finish your training. We can't expect you to work and hold you to T's and C's if you can't find a job. So that's an obvious one. Maybe the job isn't in the right place for you and you have restrictions which are preventing you from taking that available job. Or you've applied for jobs and you've been unsuccessful. The other ones are health. You know, unfortunately, you develop a health condition so that you're unfit to work once you've qualified. Or also you've had to take on caring duties whilst you've been training and afterwards that is preventing you. So there is a system to allow a change in circumstances then. And you go through you complete a form, and then Ali and I look at those and we reach a decision. So even though you sign up to the bursary and you sign up to the T's and C's and you make that commitment now that you will, on successful completion of your course, take up an offer of employment in Wales, there is provision in it to take account that circumstances change. Okay, this is probably one of the most important bits of the slide of the presentation, and that is how to get in touch with us. As I say, there's a dedicated email within HIW, hiw.bursary@wales.nhs.uk, and there's also a bursary page on the HIW main website. It's not terribly up to date at the moment, the web page. We're working to update it and upload things over the next couple of weeks so that it starts to be another source of information for you periodically as you go through your studies. There's also professional leads in HIW that you can contact, and there's also Owen, if he'd been on the call this morning, in student awards, and we'll put that information up on our webpage as well. But I would imagine that your course tutors would have the SAS email, because I know they've got a dedicated email as well. Okay, that really is all Ali and I wanted to say in order for you to start thinking about, and I'll stop sharing the screen, thinking about whether or not the bursary is the right funding option for you, and that you understand the expectation that we place on that in return for a fair amount of money, public sector money that the minister chooses to put to help you train. So there is that expectation that you will repay that investment, if you like, by coming to work and staying to work in Wales. Okay, I can see that we've had quite a few people join the call. I don't know about the 27 people in the room, because of course I can't see those. So we'll have to just try and look out for your questions. But Ali and I now will stop talking, and we'll see if anybody wants to put a question in the chat bar or raise your hand, and we'll do our best. If they're funding, assessment, bursary questions, Ali will take them down, make a note of them, and we'll pass them on to Owen. If it's about the T's and C's or anything else, then again, Ali and I will try and answer them for you.
Yeah, we've only had one question in the chat so far from Sam, which is SAS related. So I've just confirmed the email address for them.
Okay.
So I will note that down and pass it on to SAS team. Nothing else so far. So I'll just wait and see.
Wait and see if anybody. So yeah, I can see the chat bar from Sam. Anybody from the 27 in the virtual room? Stephanie's got her hands up. Okay.
Yes, we've got a question here, so I'll ask them to speak up so you can hear.
Okay, thank you, Stephanie.
When do we get confirmation about the bursary? Because I've not had mine yet.
Okay. Okay. If Owen was here, what he's been saying is that they are dealing with the applications by date order. They are generally ahead of their 20-day performance target that they set. But if you go on to your account, there is some status symbols at the bottom, approved, pending, and one other that I forget. If you go to that, that will give you an indication of where you are in the process. And if you still don't know, then use the SAS email or the helpline, which is also open between 10 and 5, I think, to get a definitive date as to when. But as far as I know from yesterday, Owen was saying they're doing it in date order. If you're in the system and you've got an account, go in and just check your status, and that will give you a bit of a heads up on where you are in the process. I hope that helps.
Yeah, because remember Owen said yesterday that there's 3 statuses as well. So
pending, approved, and I can't remember what the other one is. So, but if you go onto your account at the bottom, you will see your status, and that will give you the heads up on where you are.
Okay, so we've got another question, well, actually 2. When is the date of the first monthly payment for students for PAs?
Okay, apparently the payments are made by this university, not SAS, and every university has a different date every month when they make the payments. So you will need to ask your university what is their payment date, because it varies according to the course and also the university. But they are always monthly, but different times of the month. So ask your university what date they're using for their payment schedules. Okay. Anything else appearing in the chat?
No, just Craig
No.
saying thank you and Stephanie saying thank you to the students' question. So at the moment, there's only one to pass on to SAS. Anything else? Anyone? We have till 11 o'clock, so we have 40 minutes. Okay, we've got 2 hands up. So the first one was Leah Martin.
Hi, Leah.
Hi, I was just wondering, I've completed an application online and I have to send in my passport and like my proof of identity and everything.
Uh-huh.
But I've moved here from Ireland, so I still need my passport to kind of prove other things, like to get a bank account and everything. So I can't send it off yet. But if I send it off, does it matter that, like, is it okay if I send it off like before the 10 weeks, but if it's still being sent after the 10 weeks, is that too late?
Okay. What Owen has been saying to people is don't wait. Everyone has to send in a whole range of information, which goes to some office somewhere and it's scanned and then it's passed through to the SAS team. Don't wait so that you've got all the information. Send what you've got in so that it's in the process. And about your passport, I would send an email and just explain your circumstances about your passport. And I would imagine that they will accommodate that within the, the evidence and the assessment process. So if you've got other stuff, send it in and make them aware of your passport.
Okay, thank you.
Stephanie's got another question.
Okay, Stephanie, go away.
Yes,
Fire
I've
away.
got a student, so I'll let them speak.
We were just wondering, does it have to be NHS Wales that you work for, or can you work for private sector in Wales?
Okay, that's a very good question. And I should have said, we take a very broad view. So no, it doesn't only have to be the NHS. Certain courses, OTs, physios, nurses, a whole range of people, podiatrists, audiologists, they can all work in the private sector. They can work in local authorities. We have podiatrists who do part-time sessions in the NHS and then work sessions in a private practice. We have audiologists who work in Specsavers. The only provision that the T's and C's place is that it's a minimum of 22.5 hours a week. We would like you to work full time. We would like it to be a permanent, but the jobs don't always come out like that. So we do hope that you will work full time and in a permanent role. But there is a minimum of 22.5 hours. And the only other stipulation is that you must be working in Wales and the organisation that employs you must be in Wales. And by that, you will then be treating and helping people who live in Wales. So it's a very broad range of employers that you can apply to. You can go and work. I've got nurses in private hospitals. We've got a whole range of places that you can go and work, and they're all fully compliant with the T's and C's. But if in any doubt, I mean, I do final year sessions, and I say to them there, because that's more relevant, they're in their final year and they're as we speak now starting to think about getting a job. We just say, if you're in any doubt as to whether the job is compliant with the bursary, just get in touch with us. And most of the time it is. It's just that 22.5 hours, and the employer has got to be in Wales, and you've got to be therefore working in Wales. And you can move around as well. That's another question that I often get asked. You don't have to stay in the same job for the 2 years for the tie-in or the 18-month tie-in, depending on your course. You can move around as long as you stay in Wales and your job is 22.5 hours and for the profession that you trained in. So you can't train as a nurse and then go and get a job doing something else and say, oh, well, I'm working. It's got to be, obviously, for the profession that we've helped you train for. Okay, I hope that's reassured you that there's a very wide opportunities for you to stay and to start your career off in Wales.
Yeah, the other thing, Bev, is that sometimes, depending on the profession, some graduates will have 2 jobs in there while doing the tie-in because of the contracts that they have. So they might be split across 2 different employers. also because of a fixed term contract and, you know, regulated hours as well. But we try and hope that you get full-time work just because it's much more streamlined and easier to get. But we are aware that, you know, jobs aren't permanent, and sometimes they're also, you know, not full-time hours either.
Okay, thanks, Ali. Any other questions? Any hands up? Stephanie,
No.
got anyone else in your room? No. Ah, right.
No, they've all gone quiet.
Ah, they've all gone quiet. Okay. Well, look, we're not going to prolong the session. If there are no more questions, then people know now we're here. You can contact Ali or myself. If you get an email response from the HIW team, there's probably Ali 9 times out of 10, but we do look at stuff together. And there's the webpage as well, which hopefully in the next couple of weeks we'll have some more up-to-date information on. So if that's okay with everybody, I'd just like to say wish you good luck starting your course and settling in, and just remind you that we're here if you've got any queries in the future. Okay. Thank you for dialing in this morning and joining us on the course then. Good luck.
Bye.
Lots of thank yous. Thanks, Stephanie. Thank you.